Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Joshua Roberts, young adult pastor of Restoration Church, shooting you another video in the series, Jesus Responds. A series where we're looking at the responses of Jesus to different things that were said or different actions that took place in Scripture. And we're today going to be talking about a story from Matthew chapter 8, starting in verse 1. Once again, I'm not going to read through the Scripture. I'm going to give you a paraphrase of it. I encourage you to go read it for yourself to see what it says. But in Matthew chapter 8, starting in verse 1, we learn a story of a man with leprosy who approaches Jesus and says, "Jesus, if you're willing, will you heal me?" He cries out saying, "Will you heal me of my leprosy?" And Jesus says, "I'm willing," reaches out, touches the man, and the man is healed immediately. Jesus says, "Hey, don't tell anyone of this, but instead go to the priest, present yourself, go through the sacrifices that Moses commanded, and give the offering that Moses commanded," and that's basically the end of the story. It continues to a different story where Jesus is approached by a centurion. Now, the centurion comes up to Jesus and says, "I have a servant that is paralyzed and in terrible agony. Will you heal him?" And Jesus responds saying, "Well, would you like for me to go to him?" The centurion says, "No, I'm a man of power. I have people underneath me, and I say go and they go. I say come and they come. And I know if you say the word, it'll be done." So Jesus is amazed by this man's faith, and he says, "Truly, I haven't seen a faith like this." To that, Jesus says, your servant is healed. And it says in that moment, immediately the servant was healed. In that story, what I want you to get from really both of these stories is you have two different situations, a man with leprosy and a man in agony and paralyzed. And Jesus heals both of these situations. Jesus provides healing that is supernatural and immediate. Now, there are situations in this day and time where, yes, Jesus does provide instantaneous, spontaneous, immediate healing and immediate provision. Those times do happen. However, there's more often than not moments where we don't experience God providing and doing those things in the immediate time. That doesn't mean God isn't in control. It just means that it's not all about you. You see, anytime Jesus healed someone in Scripture, it was all about pointing to His glory. It was never about the glorification of the person or the glorification of the healing. It was all about pointing to God and His goodness and provision. It was all about His glorification. Also, it's important to understand that God doesn't operate on our time. God has mode and method to everything He does. It's outside of our understanding of time. He's so much bigger than our understanding of time. So when God provides, He provides for His glorification and His own timing. However, here's a thought that I want you to consider from the Scripture that's really kind of cool to consider. You see, you have one, the leper, who was healed immediately and experienced that face-to-face with Jesus. But you have the centurion servant who wasn't with Jesus but also experienced it immediately. Could you imagine that moment for the leper? Being face-to-face with Jesus, knowing, "Jesus, you can heal me if you're willing." Jesus does, and instantly your leprosy is gone. This was something that outcasted you in society, and Jesus fixed it immediately. But stop for a minute and think about the centurion's servant. This is pretty wild to consider. This man is in pain, lying at home, and instantly he's healed. Instantly. Guys, there wasn't FaceTime in this time period. It couldn't just like, "Hey, Jesus, talk to my friend here on the phone and tell him that he's healed because I know you can do it. You're far away." No, this man would have just been laying there in pain and not able to move, and then instantly pain subdues. Instantly strength in his bones and legs, and he's able to stand, walk, and move around. Instantly. And he wasn't like he had to wait for the centurion to get back just to find out what took place. Understand that God is in a business of healing, blessing, and providing, but it was never about us. It's all about Him and His glorification, because from both of these stories, it shows that God provides, whether it's up close or whether it's far away. So in this day, if you feel like God is distant, if you feel like God isn't close to you, realize that God is responding. It might not be on your time, and it definitely is not all about you. It's all about Him and His glory. The question is, are you going to seek Him, His will, and His way, and trust His timing is perfect? He never fails. He has a bigger understanding of the picture than we ever comprehended. So trust Him today.